In this video, we're going to take a look at some date functions. And the first one we're going to look at is there's a built-in function called today. And because functions are always part of a formula, we must start with an equal sign first. And you notice as I start typing, this always happens when you start typing in function names in Excel. The more you type in, the closer it gets to selecting the one that you want. When you actually get the one you want, if you hit the tab key, it will do the rest of the typing for you, and it only gives you one open parenthesis, and if you don't close it, you're going to get a syntax error. So let's close it. And there are no arguments to the today function. You don't need to pass it any information for it to try to figure out what day it is today, so you don't have to pass in any arguments. And it's one of two functions in Excel that I'm aware of. The other one is the now function, which we'll take a look at in a minute. That one also does not require any arguments. Okay, let's hit the enter key and see what we get here. And now I have already manually adjusted the width of this column, and so if this were a brand new sheet, actually let's do a brand new sheet here, and I'm going to type in equals today again and hit enter. And because I have not previously set the width of the column, it makes it wide enough to display the date, and it uses the short date format. And again, if I make this a little wider, dates are represented as serial numbers, and here's a quick look at the serial number. Just go to general, and it tells you it's the day number 42,934 since day number 1, which was January 1st, 1900. Okay, let's go back to our short date format. There's two format options up here, short date and long date, but there's actually quite a few more. If you right click on the date and go to format cells down here on your pop-up menu, you get 6 tabs here, and the one that we're interested in is the number tab. And because this is already formatted as a date, we have date selected in the category, and then we've got a bunch of options over here for formatting the date. So if the year is not important, you can format it with just a month and a day. If you want to have leading zeros so that the month is always a 2-digit number and the day is always a 2-digit number, that's the difference between these two. You can get some words in there, and as we scroll down, you can see a whole bunch of different options for formatting a date. And there's also, if you go down here, is it special or it's custom? Under custom, there are some other options down here, and you can tell by looking, you can pretty much figure these out. If you can't figure them out, just click on them and apply them and see what you get. But there's quite a few down here that apply to either dates or to times. And we're not going to use any of those, though. We're just going to cancel this and leave it formatted the way it is. One thing you need to be careful of with this is, let's try doing it wrong and see what happens. You might be tempted, because the today function doesn't require any arguments, not to put any parentheses in. But if you do that, I'm going to hit the enter key now. It doesn't know what you're talking about. Okay, and the reason it doesn't know what you're talking about is because one of the syntax rules in Excel is that every function has to be followed by an argument list, even if it's an empty argument list, as in the case with the today function and the now function. So the argument list is what goes in parentheses, and even if it's an empty argument list, you still have to provide it. So when I put the parentheses back in, then it fixes everything. And the nice thing about the today function is, if I come in and open this spreadsheet tomorrow, this will automatically have changed to 7/19. So it automatically shows you the day that you opened the current version of the spreadsheet. I mentioned the other function that doesn't require arguments is the now function. Let's try that one down here. Remember to start with an equal sign and the word now and a pair of parentheses and hit enter. And you see the difference between this and this is now includes the time as well as the date. It uses a 24-hour clock. You notice there's no AM or PM there. So it's 8:13 in the morning. Once I get past 12 o'clock, it goes to 13 o'clock and 14 o'clock and so on. So it uses military time. But that's an option that you can change as well. So you can change the way the dates are formatted. Let's right-click on this one and let's go to Format Cells, and let's look at some of the options here for a date. And okay, so we do have an option here of putting AM or PM on it. We've also got the option of displaying it in military time, which is the way it is now. And those may be the only two options for displaying both a date and a time. If the time is all you're concerned about, there are a bunch of options here just for representing the time. We're more concerned about the date in this example, though. So let's change it so that it is just the month and the day and the year with slashes separating them. And let's click on OK. And now it looks, oh, it's got a 2-digit year instead of a 4-digit year. Let me right-click on that again, and let's go to Format Cells, and let's do this one with a 4-digit year, and click on OK. And now this looks exactly the same as, I don't need two of these, let's get rid of the middle one. It looks exactly the same as this, but they're not the same. This one, if I format it as a general, I get a date serial number. If I format this one as general, I get the same date serial number, but it also has a 5-digit fractional part, and that 5-digit fractional part is the fraction of a day that has elapsed. So it's a little bit after 8 o'clock. If I look down here in the lower right-hand corner, it's 8:15 in the morning. And so that is, 8 o'clock would have been 1/3 of a day, 0.33333, and we're just a little bit past that. So times are always represented to the right of the decimal point, and dates are represented as a serial number to the left of the decimal point. So even though, let's see if I can undo my formatting here, and even though they look the same, when I've got them formatted like that, you have to remember that formatting just tells how to display the value that's in the cell, and it may do some rounding or something. So just because they look the same doesn't necessarily mean that they are the same if you look at the actual value that's stored in the cell. And that's it for today and now, and we'll take a look at a few other date functions in the next video.